Salve, and welcome to Parsing John. Today we are in chapter 1, verse 50, very near to the end of the chapter. This is our rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this verse. Let's go ahead and get started. Respondit Jesus et dixit ei, quia dixi tibi vidi te sub ficu credis, maius his videbis. And that's as far as we're going to go today. Very first word is respondit, and finally took the time to go and look up the word, and I have been completely wrong. It is not a third conjugation. Is actually a second conjugation. It is responde or respondere. Respondi. So this it here is going to be our third person singular perfect tense. And it is active and indicative, which then means I need every instance of this that's come before in this passage need to change from present to perfect. Responded. Responded. Jesus, you asked there, is nominative, singular, masculine. Et dixit, et just means and. Dixit it with dix, dico, dicere, dixi, third person singular, perfect as well. Active, indicative. Said. A from is ed, write that right there. Is ed, aes, a. So this is going to be dative singular. And it doesn't really have a gender because in the dative and the genitive forms of this demonstrative, all three genders have the exact same form. But we know Nathaniel is a man, so we're going to say to him. And then we have direct quote here. Quia just means because. We have a different form of dixit without the T there, so this is going to be first person singular. Otherwise, I'm not going to decline it since we've already got it right there. I said. Tibi from tu, tui, tibi, tete. So this is going to be dative singular. To you. Vidi. Video, videre, vidi. So first person singular perfect. Active, indicative. I saw. Since that we don't have this as an infinitive form, we know that this is closer to a direct quote. So I'm going to put new quote marks right there. Te, accusative or ablative, but it's going to be accusative here because the direct object of the video is always accusative. Singular. I saw you. Sub is a preposition. Sub takes the either accusative or ablative in its object. If it's taking accusative, it's telling us its location to which it's showing motion. If it's ablative, it's telling us location where, so it's stationary. So unless we have a verb to tell us that there's motion happening here, and we would expect a participle to be the one to give us motion, we should assume that it's going to be taking the ablative. But looking at its object, we have fiku, and now come to think of it, that's the other thing that I was supposed to look up, but never did, and that's the gender of fiku. So fiku is probably a fourth declension, because it's got just the U right there. And there are not many feminine fourth declensions. Can't think of any. But since this is a type of plant, and plants are normally feminine, I think, feminine is probably correct. But still, with a short U, you can't tell, because that's us, ui, u. Skipped one of the cases there, whatever. You can't really tell what gender it is because this is ablative right here. So sub is definitely taking the ablative. Singular and question mark. When I go through the review video, I will have, I hope, actually looked that up by then. Credis is a verb, so a prepositional phrase ends right there. Under. Fig tree. Credus, credeo, credere, credi. Could be getting that one wrong, but I think this is perfect tense. Second person singular. Or maybe it's just credo. I will write both just in case since I can't remember. Present or perfect. And it is active and indicative. And this is a question here. There's no punctuation, so that doesn't tell us. But it's a question, and that ends. Sorry, our quote mark right there. I forgot. Do you believe, or did you believe? Grammar here would indicate to me that I thought of it being present is the more likely than the perfect. But let's move on. Question mark. Maius. This comes from the comparative form of magnus, magna, magnum, maior, maius. So since it's JUS here, then it could be the adverbial form of it. But since we have a verb, and the verb wants to take an object, probably it's going to be the adjective, not the adverb. So IUS is either nominative or accusative singular neuter comparative. Since we already have a person in the second person, we need an object. It's going to be accusative singular neuter, meaning, comparative. Greater. His comes from hic, haec, hoc. I'll put that up here. So this is going to be dative or ablative plural. I can't spell ablative today, sorry. No gender. It's going to be ablative because we have comparative right here, and we need the ablative of comparison. The other option would be quam, with this, whatever, in the same case as whatever you find before. So if we were using quam, we would see maius, quam, probably haec for neuter plural. But we don't. We have the ablative version, which is fine. Then these. Video. This is our future form. So second person singular future. Active, indicative. You will see. And there we go. One final thing that we could do is we could add the word thing in here, because maius acting alone as an adjective, it would be what we refer to as substantive, so it pretends to be a noun. And normally we throw something in there in English to make it clearer. So we normally, as English speakers, wouldn't say greater than these you will see. We would want an actual object to be there for the verb. We would say greater things than these. However, since this word maius is singular, we can't put things in there, so thing is about the best that we can do safely without fundamentally changing the meaning of the text. And it might not be important that this is singular, but then again it might. So we don't want to stray beyond our bounds. Now let's take a look at it in its own context before moving on to the greater context from verse 43. Jesus responded and said to him, "Because I said to you, I saw you under a fig tree, do you believe? Greater thing than these you will see." Pretty short and sweet. Now from verse 43. Mind you, I'm going to have to go through and correct all of these that we come across. Sorry. He wished... till tomorrow he wished to go out into Galilee, and he finds Philip. And Jesus says to him, "Follow me." However, Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and says to him, "What Moses wrote in law and what prophets wrote, we found Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth." And Nathanael said to him, "Is anything able from Nazareth to be good?" Philip says to him, "Come and see." Jesus saw Nathanael coming to himself and says about him, "Look, truly, Israelite in whom deceit is barely visible, is not, in whom is not deceit." Nathanael says to him, "Whence did you know me?" Jesus responded and said to him, "Before Philip called you, when you were under fig tree, I saw you." Nathanael responded to him and probably said, "Rabbi, you are Son of God. You are King of Israel." Jesus responded and said to him, "Because I said to you, I saw you under fig tree, do you believe, or did you believe? Greater than these you will see." And there we go. That's verse 50 as far as we're going to go. I hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you, and I hope you continue to join me as we finish off this chapter once and for all. Have a good day, and wale.